Good evening, everyone. Today is a very special day for all of us as we have with us Jaya Nair, one of the stalwarts of Redikall, who has been with us for a very, very long time. And today she's going to talk to us about astrology and mind-body wellness, the link between the two, right? So that is something interesting, and I'm sure all of us are waiting to hear about it. But let me first tell you a little bit about Jaya. Jaya Nair is a transformative coach, therapist, and trainer with rich counseling and behavioral skills training experience. Her corporate exposure, especially as an HR professional, helped her to focus on the human behind the role. It encouraged her to explore the dynamics behind thought patterns, perceptions, fears, and its influence on emotions, behavior, and performance. Right? Jaya is a certified counselor, energy healing practitioner, Redikall Healing trainer and practitioner, hypnotherapy and regression therapist, and also practices many other modalities. She is an experienced astrologer and tarot card reader, both of which she uses as self-improvement tools rather than just making predictions, which I think is beautiful. She conducts self-improvement workshops and her free sessions on various everyday concerns using her therapeutic skills to transform people to be better versions of themselves is well known. So I'm very happy to welcome Jaya on the platform. Good evening, Jaya.
Good evening, Aarti. Always a pleasure to have you as my anchor.
Thank you. Thank you.
By the way, we have a common company we worked for in the corporate world.
Yes, yes.
Although we didn't know each other at that time.
Yeah.
Aarti and I share a past which is connected.
Yes, and no wonder we had to meet in the best of places, and that was Pondicherry. Right?
I know.
Yeah.
It was really beautiful.
Absolutely. So
as usual, I would ask all of you to put on your videos. You know, I don't like talking to blank screens. So if you will please oblige me.
So the screen and the platform is all yours, Jaya. Go ahead.
So I think you want to ask me some questions about astrology, or how do you want to do it?
No, I would leave it to you on the way you would like to express yourself, the link between astrology and mind-body wellness. How do you go about it, number one? And also, you say you don't do just readings for people, you know, you are more interested in the wellness part of astrology. So that is something unique. So tell us more about that and how do you apply it in the mind-body wellness, scheme of things.
All right. So let's first understand what astrology is. Astrology is the study of the influence of the planets and the stars on human lives in very short terms. It's a language by itself. So when you learn that language, you find it very easy to read those charts that we make for astrology, which all of you might have gone into and at least seen some of them. So the charts are made with the positions of those planets, mainly Vedic astrology, which I learned, has 9 planets. Later, a few more were added, but that was the original Vedic astrology had 9 planets through which they analyzed the horoscope. So the horoscope at that time were made at birth. And many ancient astrologers, some of them I even knew, old astrologers, they would not read the chart of a baby they would wait for the child to be 12 years before it was read, because for the simple reason they believed that the infant mortality was very high those days. So if the child survived for 8 years, 12 years, they read the horoscope. Otherwise, they didn't, although they made detailed horoscope about the child. And they wouldn't actually read it though. So, and there are many others who would look at the horoscope, and if they see that this person whose horoscope it is doesn't have very many years to live, they would just close it and say, okay, come back later after a few years, we'll make a horoscope. That also has happened. So it is very clear that your longevity of life can be gauged from these charts. So it is logical to think that even what we suffer in the body and mind also can be gauged from the horoscope. So the three planets which usually people, not usually, it is actually the three planets which they look at to ascertain the strength of the horoscope is Sun, Moon, and what we call the Lagna. Lagna is the spot where the sunlight was when you were born, considering your time and date and place of birth. So where exactly that sunlight was at that time is the Lagna, which today most people don't know because they use these charts from the internet, and it is all calculated and given to you. But when I started learning astrology many decades back, we didn't have any software for it. So we had to do everything manually, the calculations, the arithmetical calculations we used to do of the degrees of the planets even. So I don't want to go into details like that because most of you may not have a background in astrology, and it's quite a complicated science. So there are several aspects to it as well. So as I said, there were 9 planets to start with. Now there are a few more, and there might be others also who have an effect on Earth, which we don't know of even. But we are only considering those ones which we know of. And it is like very logical to think that these planets have an effect on us because we understand the effect of the moon on the waves of the ocean. We even know that even psychiatrists give medication according to the waning and waxing of the moon. This is a known fact and scientifically proven. So if the moon can have so much of effect on you, why can't other planets have effect on you as well? So let us see how the horoscope actually reflects your health. When I say health, it is not only physical health, it's also mental health that they can show up. Like the moon is where we look at for emotions. And so if we were using Redikall, we can actually heal certain emotions. If you read the chart earlier and you know during 3 days of this month, I'm going to be feeling low or I'm going to feel fear, whatever it is, it will show up and you can actually start chanting Soul's Love or R5 before that, so that the period goes by without so much of a problem. That is the way I like to look at astrology, and that's the way I look at tarot as well. So it is not about, okay, these 3-4 days you go to sleep and don't do anything. It's not like that. You have something called the free will. You can do something about it. You can lessen the effect of these planets as well. So make use of it that way. So the Lagna usually talks about the physical aspects of people, but there are certain physical aspects which you can say from the moon as well. Like I remember I looked at a horoscope and I said this horoscope is wrong. And I was talking to an astrologer who was quite famous. And he looked at it and he said, no, this person was born under this nakshatra. He said it was Pushya, and I said it was Aslesha. And about a year later, he came back to me and said, you were right. This person was born in Aslesha. There were a few degree changes. And I said that by the way he looked, by the way his eyes were positioned. So you can actually look at a person and say what are the strong planets in his or her horoscope, if you really put your mind to it. It was actually a gimmick I did. Now, if you tell me to do that, I may not even be able to do it. And certain aspects of planets do make you sick. There's, again, a friend of mine came to me and I looked at her horoscope and I said, everything is okay, but be careful about your health. And I left it. She's quite a healthy person. She's not somebody who has major problems with herself. 10, 15 days later, she calls me up. She said, I had this vacation in Germany. I went to the most exotic places, but I couldn't enjoy any of those things. You said that my health will be bad, and it was so bad. I had such a bad cold and cough for 10 days. So you can actually say when you are going to be sick also through astrology. So again, you can deal with that by your herbs or herbal tea and things like that, which will lessen the effect to some extent if you know it in advance. So I feel that is the constructive part of astrology. So we usually look at the natal birth chart, which is what is made at your birth. But it also has periods where these things show up. That also is part of astrology, that is called the Dasha system of Vedic astrology, where these periods come up. So if you have a planet which is not on your side as far as health is concerned, when that planet's period comes, this gets triggered, as we say in alternative medicine or alternative healing modalities. So the triggering happens when those periods of those planets come up. So that is why you don't have it all the time, but it might come up at certain times in your life. Now, another thing which is very interesting is there are time frames for different planets. Like Mars is a young planet. So the benefic and malefic effects of Mars will be more when the person is younger. The horoscope of the person is younger, it will show up more. And Shani is an old planet, so it will show up towards the later stages of life. The beginning, it may not show up very much. Talking about Shani, I must also tell you about the Sade Sati, which seem to be very scaring for most people. I hear this all the time. It's not 7.5 years of misery. It is only that Shani is moving through one house earlier than the moon, on the moon, and one house after the moon. So when it is going through this phase of the moon is the one which determines mental faculties, emotions, etc. So that gets little affected. But on the other hand, Shani is a planet which is a teacher. It is about karma. So if you can accept that, and if you can actually look at what is Shani trying to teach me in this period and work accordingly, your Sadhe can be pretty smooth. And the only thing is, during Sadhe, most people make a major shift, either a shift of house, shift of job, shift of role, whatever it is. There'll be a major shift in your life in that 7.5 years, at least once. And so if you know that, don't make that shift difficult for yourself. Make it smooth and let it flow. Now, I have not mentioned as yet about the zodiac signs, which you must be following in the newspaper and the magazines. So when we make the chart, we are making the chart with the position shown in the zodiac signs. So the 12 signs of the zodiac forms the houses, and all the planets cannot be in all the houses. So there might be some planets which are in certain houses, and some might be empty, but those houses will have the view of the other planets as well. So the planets are affecting the zodiac 12 signs. And that is what you get in your daily horoscope. And the daily horoscope in most places follow the sun sign. That is where the sun is at that point in time. And some of them in India, they follow the moon sign. So it is analyzed from the place of the moon or place of the sun. Both will give you what your day is going to be that day, emotionally, physically, career-wise. So having said about the old astrologers of India, it was very interesting that they never looked at the career, the marriage, everything right at the beginning. They only looked at the strength of health in that horoscope, whether the person would live long, whether he has the vitality to live long, are the diseases that he will be facing strong enough to kill him. All those things they governed first before they went into any kind of other things that we usually ask. And today more so, because relationships and career and money seem to be the questions which most people have. But actually, astrology can be a good guide for you to know how your body and your mind can be, and how psychology can affect you through the planets. So how does a healing happen in astrology? The olden days, they did not think of other things, but they did think of gems, which has a light, which many of you must be wearing rings that throws the light of that particular planet into your body. And mantras, yantras, and pujas. So all these things were done according to the astrology way. And the mantras actually were just like the statements of Redikall or affirmations we talk about. It is just that we don't understand the Sanskrit of the mantras, but we do understand what we are saying in our affirmations. So they were actually affirmations, and they had deeper meaning, and we had to actually learn it to understand what is the deeper meaning of each mantra. So that is the only difference. Otherwise, they are like affirmations. Now, there is a branch of astrology which we call the Ayurvedic astrology. Once the astrologer, actually the old Ayurvedic physicians used to be astrologers. So they looked at the charts and decided the medicine to give, and also to understand how deep the illness is to treat it. But their ways were slightly different. They used herbs, oils, body work, yoga, etc. Yoga is another form they had of healing. And physical and mental illnesses. It is really interesting to understand that these methods of Ayurvedic astrology is exactly what we are doing in our alternate healing modalities. We use herbs, we use aroma, they used aroma, we use colors, they used colors, and they also had the massages. So they were actually releasing it from the cellular memory. Even the emotions stuck in cellular memory, they were releasing through the kneading of the body. So it's interesting to know that they knew much more than we did, or we do even today. I haven't gone over the time, no, Aarti?
You're
I can
perfectly
go on
fine.
talking like
You
this.
have a lot of time. Don't worry. There's a lot of time.
Okay. So now let us just look at the nakshatras as well. The nakshatras, especially in South India, they use a lot of nakshatras. And nakshatras are the stars under which, the constellations under which you were born. That is where the moon is. So these actually tell you about the emotional state, the psychological state of that person. So it has also got implications about how they will behave, how they will look, how they communicate. And even planets can tell you how you communicate, like Mercury is a messenger. So Mercury is the way we communicate. So you invoke Mercury, your communication will improve. So there are several, and there are also gods and goddesses attached to these nakshatras as well as the planets. So they are the mantras which are connected to them will give you relief over whatever you find from these nakshatras and the planets themselves. Now, Ayurveda treats the three doshas. That is the Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So these are the humors of the body which needs to be balanced. So even that shows up in the astrological chart, because certain planets are warm, certain planets are cold, certain planets are moist. So with their effect, these things show up more. So this Ayurvedic astrology is what possibly we call medical astrology today in English. So that is what they followed. And now that we are on the platform of Redikall, I must say that every chakra has a planet as well. So each chakra's planet, the way it is placed in the horoscope will tell you which chakra you need to work on. And I'm sure if we work deep enough, we can even find out the sub-chakras, 300 of them maybe, that we know of as today. So these are a few things which I thought I should mention to you. It is also interesting that there is no planet for the crown chakra. The crown chakra, when you reach completely, that is when you don't have any, the sun neither rises nor sets. That is what astrology says. There is only light. There is nothing more. So that is what we call enlightenment. It is very interesting to know that astrology had actually gauged all this long before we did. And there is another area which might be interesting for you. That is marriage. We usually match the horoscopes for marriage. The earlier versions of the matching had all aspects of human life. not only just whether the person is well off and things like that, whether there is mental compatibility, there is physical compatibility, and how long they lived, do they complement each other. All this could be looked at from the horoscopes. So it was a very holistic kind of analysis that they did before getting two people married. And I can tell you a story for this. So the astrologer was consulted when this girl was supposed to get married, and very soon, she became a widow. So the parents went back to the astrologer and said, "What have you done? You have made her a widow." So he said, "I saw both the horoscopes. Your daughter's horoscope said that her husband will die soon. And that boy's horoscope said that he will die young at the same time. So I thought, why make somebody else, two other people, miserable? It's better anyway, whoever she married would have died. And he would have died anyway. So it is better that these two horoscopes are matched." So they were humorous also like that. So another thing which we also hear a lot about are tithis. That is the ascending and waning of the moon, ascending and descending of the moon. So those are the tithis. So earlier, I have, even when I was expecting my son, somebody who knew astrology, he told me, "You must deliver before this date." So I said, the due date was a little ahead. So I said, "The due date is not till then." So he said, "Doesn't matter, you deliver before this date." I said, "Why?" Because the moon was changing at that time. It was going into descending moon. And as luck would have it, he decided to come 2 days before full moon. So my son, he was the one who was really relieved that, I delivered early and didn't wait for the descending moon. So that is how they looked at things. It was quite a scientific way of looking at things. I have often wondered why the Brahmins have very intelligent minds. They, when I think of old Brahmins, most of them were very, very sharp and very intelligent. So I did a little bit of research on what makes this caste so intelligent. First of all, it is also ancestral because they come from a line of intelligent people who ancestors were also equally intelligent. And secondly, most of them those days knew astrology. So what they actually did was when they fixed the marriage, the time of consummation was also fixed. And that they calculated backwards. That when the child is born, it is under certain planetary conditions. And so backwards, if you conceive the child on certain day at a certain time, the child born will be at a certain time and certain day and certain place. And that child will be intelligent. That is how they plan their children even. So how deep a study is that? On this happy note of children, I think I have ran out of time and open to questions.
So anybody wanting to ask any question, please raise your hand.
Yes, ma'am, I have a question.
Who's this? Tanu?
Yes, Navina.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Tanu.
Hi, ma'am.
Yeah. Please,
So, ma'am, as you were saying that the
Can I have
planets
your
have
video,
certain.
please?
Tanu,
Oh,
please.
okay, hold on. Hi, ma'am. I just want to ask you, first of all, thank you so much for giving such valuable information. And secondly, I want to ask you that, like, I have somebody very close to me, and whose charts now say that they have to go through like 19 years of Shani, which will be affected by Shani. So he is doing job, Shani job, the things, but his mental, as you are talking about Shani going through moon phase, and moon has more effect on that person. So I can clearly see that the emotions are unstable, the mind is unstable, and there is no power of decision making, and a lot of um, you can say conflicts, self doubt, and extremely low self esteem, which is
So,
affecting his whole personality.
so what is the
And
question?
that's some. So, question is, ma'am, how to when Shani, when we are already going through the Shani thing. So, what puja we should do?
Shiny,
Uh,
Shiny needs a lot of acceptance. A lot of
Acceptance
things which
from.
which are happening in his life, he has to actually see how that affects him. And since, are you into Radical?
Yes, ma'am. I'm a radical student. Yes.
Please do uh, any of the statements of Radical. It'll ease him out. But he himself has
So,
to
ma'am.
accept a lot of things as his karma. I told you, the Shani is a karmic planet. So according to the
Hmm.
karma, what he has to go through, he will go through. And Sade Sati is not alien to anybody at all. It is, everybody goes through Sade Sati once in 30 years. Whether you like it or
Mm-hmm.
not, you will have
Yeah.
Sade Sati. So
Yeah. Because.
it is better to accept that this is not a good phase for oneself and
Hmm.
work accordingly. You have a lot of pujas. You can, um, Hanuman is a good person to appease Shani. Um,
Okay.
Ayyappa is a good person to appease Shani. So there are a lot of ways in which you can do pujas. But mainly,
Okay.
he has to accept a lot of things which are happening and take
Hmm.
responsibility for them. That is what
Hmm.
Shani teaches.
Yeah. So
And
that's what
once
the thing is.
Aatmn
He is
said,
a.
Shani is a great friend of Jaya's. Because he always talks highly about Shani. Yes, he is a great friend. I love him because he shows you things which you are not willing to see otherwise.
Yeah,
It is only
that,
when we
That is
have some
so
pain
true.
we actually look at life. So he's making
That
you
is so
see
true.
that life. So
yeah,
it's an opportunity for you to heal.
right.
I have to tell him
Yeah.
that. I have to tell him that.
So
Thank you, ma'am.
Instead,
Thank you so much.
I'm
thank you.
now going
Bela,
to go. No, 1 minute.
sorry,
I'm
Ati.
yeah. Can everybody mute their mics, please? Yeah. So now I'll go with as the hands are raised here. Navina, it's
Yeah. Hello, Jaya. Thank you so much for the amazing session. So, my question is like, suppose at the birth time, I have like, as per the Hindu calendar, it's a different Rashi, but English calendar is a different horoscope. So, which one, like when we are checking the, if sometimes we
If
check
there is a
which
slight
one,
difference, that is why I said right at the beginning, what I have learned is Vedic astrology, because
right,
the way the charts are made in Western astrology is slightly different. But in
right,
effect, you will find that it is the same thing, conclusions that they'll come to.
both
But
the things.
you decide which one you want to go after.
Okay, just intuitively, whatever comes to me.
Yeah, comes to you.
Oh,
Yes,
okay. Thank you so much. Thanks
you're
a lot.
welcome. Yeah,
all right.
Bela.
Yes, Bella.
Namaskar, Jayaji. Jayaji, I
Namaste.
have two questions. One is like if everything is decided at the time of birth, so what if the stars are fixed? So what is the role of my karma? And the second
Your
thing is,
karma, always your karma is to change yourself to a better version of yourself. And that remains the same with astrology as well. So that's why I said you can do healing. Otherwise, there is no point in keeping on chanting, is there? Nothing will happen. But when you do that, you're using your free will to change that particular karma. And there is a branch of, not a branch actually, there is one way of looking at astrology where we actually make the chart only for 1 year. For people who have healed a lot, the natal horoscope no longer has any effect on them. They have healed, so those things don't apply to them anymore. So
and the next question was, like you were telling one story, it happened. So my family, my husband, everybody believes in astrology. I'm okay with it because, my moon was not good. And my husband used to say, your phase of moon is going on. And I had a firm belief that I believe in Shiva and he will take care of me. Nothing can happen. So my psychological behavior, what I meant is, if a person is told, like you told somebody that your time is not good, that person will psychologically think about that thing, and that things go on rotating in their mind. And
you don't say it so, you don't say it bluntly, no? You tell them the remedy. You don't tell them that your time is bad. That would be a bad astrologer.
Because what happened usually, like for me, they said your Mangal is not good, bad time. I said, okay, I will not accept your thing. And if a person is told bad thing, like my son,
it is, you said you don't believe in it, so don't believe in it. It's fine. There are a lot of people who don't believe in it and they live through their lives and they are fine.
Ma'am, I'm not saying believing. I said Mangal kharab hai. No, Mangal kharab hai nahi. I will pray to my Shiva. Everything will be fine.
So what is your question? I didn't understand your question.
I'm just telling that if a person says something, it is rotating in the mind, and
of
that
course
he will attract that thing. That's what I meant is.
Yeah, but that is for you to make the people around you understand. That is not part of astrology. That is how you communicate. You please do something about Mercury communication.
Yeah, so that is not good. It is not good.
Better
I am telling
what you feel.
Yeah, it is not good. I accept that because everybody told me it is not good.
Bela, everybody goes through difficult times. There is nobody on earth who has never had a difficult time. Whether you're going to focus on it or not is your choice.
What is the remedy for that? What is the remedy, ma'am?
Hi, Jaya. That was the most amazing session, like a workshop on astrology.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Far
yes.
from a workshop.
It is. It's a very, very well mini workshop on astrology that one can, and you've really done it amazingly well. So my question is, Jaya, if I have a debilitated, say, sun in 4th house, but it is Vargottam in all the other divisional charts. So how do you take it?
You have to see the strength of the divisional charts. Now, I haven't mentioned anything about the divisional charts here, so I don't want to go into it in detail because that is a part of a different side of astrology. Correct. But you have to go into the strength of each chart if you want to analyze it.
And how do you say the conjunction of Venus and Moon in a house?
Depends on the house, depends on the drishtis, depends on so many things.
Okay.
I cannot just offhand say that Moon and Venus are together. Suppose Venus is with Moon in Taurus, it's a strong Venus. So it depends on which house it is.
Awesome. And which branch of astrology do you find the best? I mean, most that you find
I don't believe that there is any branch which is best or not. I believe that whatever you feel comfortable with is what you need to practice.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm like that about my therapies as well. So Any
It's
modality,
okay.
if I'm comfortable, I'm fine with it. Otherwise,
It
no.
is whatever resonates to one.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
works for you. Thank you so much, Jaya.
You're welcome.
So this is just a curious question about Sadi Sati. Is it possible, like, that a person is going through Sadi Sati, but it doesn't affect them so much? Is it?
It is possible. It is possible because of the strength of Shani in the horoscope.
Okay.
So you have to see how strong the Shani is. If the Shani is very strong, or if the moon is very strong, that gives a very different picture. And also the drishti of other planets. It is not very simple to answer particular questions without looking at the horoscope in detail.
Yeah. Also, like, I want to share something. Like, I did not know I was going through Sadi Sati. I was going through there were many events which happened in my life. It was just like an accepted kind of a thing. Like, later on, I got to know it was going through Sadi Sati. So I used to always tell, like, no, probably the Sadi Sati was a good time. Though there were many events, so that I had learned a lot of things during that time.
That is
life.
what happens.
So
did your mother pass away in Sadi Sati?
No, I don't know whether my Sadi Sati is going on. Not seen. Mother passed away last month.
Yeah, so it affects the mother's health, Sadi Sati.
Okay, fine.
If the mother is old, I would say.
Now, when you're saying that, she passed away this year on my birthday.
I know that.
But now
that
that
birthday is date of birth, no, that is from the sun, not from the moon.
Okay, that I don't know much. But now.
That's why I said I cannot answer these particular questions on this platform.
No, but now when you're telling me this thing, ma'am, just now I realized it. She fell from 15 years. She was like literally bedridden, and that's when her was health. I think that
it affects mother's health, whether she passes on or not. Depends on her own horoscope.
That was around somewhere.
And also other children are there. You're only one.
So that was around the same
other children,
time.
Husband, all their horoscopes also have to match. Okay. Yeah, Bhuwana.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to know the difference between Sade Sati and Ashtama Shani.
Ashtama Shani is for 2.5 years, and that is when the Shani is in the 8th house from moon.
Okay, so
Sade Sati is, as I said, it is one house previous to the moon sign, and one house after the moon sign.
So the
it is the transit of Shani in these 3 houses.
So the effects of Sade Sati and Ashtama Shani, are they the same, or Ashtama Shani? What do we learn? What do we learn during Ashtama Shani?
That is
because I'm having Ashtama.
I have to look at a horoscope to say that it is not the same for everybody.
Yes, ma'am.
Horoscopes are as unique as human beings are. There are no 2 horoscopes which are alike, not even of twins. They're different because the degrees of the planets will differ. So even if they look exactly alike, their horoscopes will be different.
I understand. Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead.
If Mercury is not good, my communication is really not good. How can I help myself? And sorry if my choice of words were not right.
Very simple with radical statements. Bela Suri. Bela.
Whose question is this?
Bela.
I spoke to you, ma'am, just 5 minutes back.
Bela's question. Okay.
Yeah.
You said that your I didn't
Mercury
understand.
is not good. Yeah, Mercury is not good. I am From past 10 years, what I was told, not to waste water. So I am just very cautious about water. That's what I was told for Mangal and Mercury.
Mangal and water. Water is governed by moon.
Yeah, moon.
Mangal is fire.
I don't know moon को क्या बोलते हैं हिंदी में.
Unless these are questions I can only answer if I see the horoscope. This is not a generic question.
Okay, I will call you.
There are so many influences of other planets. I cannot just offhand tell you that.
Okay,
so, but Bela, a thing that you can do is do R5 radical statements for communication.
Yeah, both communication. That is all.
Yeah. That is something that will work wonderfully, whether you do it with transform, transcend, or
that's what I said. Affirmations, you can do affirmations, you can do statements, you can do all that.
Yeah, yeah, great. So, Tanu, have you raised your hand again, or is it from the past?
No, yes, ma'am, I have raised your hand again.
Okay, there's a new person. Who's that person?
Hina.
Yeah, go ahead, Hina.
Like you said, communication, Mercury. So how do we do that?
That is one property of Mercury is that each planet has several characteristics. So how can you say that? Means this is one of the things which when I think of communication and planets, this is what comes to me straight away. But there are other factors as well. And there are also factors from your place of communication, what it will be. So the analysis has to be done with the whole horoscope in its entirety, not in bits and pieces.
Okay. Yeah, I understand. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bhuvna, you still have a question, or is it a hand from before? Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. So anybody else have any question?
Yes, ma'am. Can I ask one more question, please?
Of course.
My head is like, it's like brainstorming so much right now, processing all the information.
Please go ahead.
So Jaya ma'am, you mentioned that like the effects of the, I mean, if I'm wrong, please let me know. Does the effect of, no, it's Tanu ma'am, it's Tanu.
I understand, but I can't hear you.
Oh, okay, I'm so sorry. Am I audible now?
Better, yeah.
Okay. So, जो शनि का effect होता है, you said something about healing it.
Something
Is it possible to heal about healing the effects of Shani?
Healing effect of Shani. So you have to understand what the karma behind what you're facing is, and work accordingly. That's why I said all these can be dealt with modalities of healing, and even radical statements can be used when you understand the karma behind it. Even in radical or any other alternate modality, we are dealing with karma, no?
So, ma'am, how to figure out what the karma is?
Shani shows up your karma.
The karma is the process that you're going through, Tanu. Whoever it is going through as part of their karmic
imprint.
Experience. Yeah, that's the karmic imprint. That is the blueprint.
So that is what Shani will show up. But how you want to deal with it, you can decide.
Okay, got it. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
You can either crack completely under it, or you can decide to fight it out, or you can decide to challenge yourself, or you can decide to choose the best possible option in terms of wanting to remain positive. And all this can come to you through affirmations of radical. So that is one process that can be applied. Because the more you go into the negative, the more it will keep pulling you downwards, right? So instead of doing
that,
you have a free will for evolution.
Absolutely.
So even if the natal chart, the birth chart says something, you don't have to be stuck there. As you heal, that chart has lesser and lesser effect on you.
Effect on.
That
Makes
also I
sense.
told you. So
Thank
that
you,
is
ma'am.
for you to decide what you want to do.
Right.
That is your free will
Hmm.
you use.
Okay. Thank you, Tanu.
Makes
We'll have
sense.
Beena
Thank you,
now.
ma'am.
Yeah, we'll have Beena now.
Namaste.
Namaste.
I was just asking that I have a flat in Mumbai and want to shift to Hyderabad. So this is how which planets works for the selling of this property and all this.
I cannot say that offhand because Jupiter will talk about your wealth. The Mars will talk about the land. Rahu will talk about the construction. So there are so many combinations you have to look at. This is not something I can say in a very general way.
Okay, and one more thing that my daughter-in-law is not having, getting conceived. So,
You have to look at her horoscope, no?
Yeah,
not,
but there's
and
no
your sons and your sons.
This planet is for progeny, which
Veena, it is not generic like that. I cannot say one planet.
Yeah, I have studied astrology little bit, but just sometimes people say na that as green thing for Buddha and like that.
Pardon me? I didn't understand.
No, like for Mercury, if you have to make a strong
one
Mercury.
of the I said one of the characteristics, not all.
Yeah.
So fertility is one of the characteristics of moon is fertility. Okay. So where is the moon placed? Okay. That is something that I would look at straight away.
Okay.
So
okay,
so all people who want to get solutions, please contact Jaya directly with your charts, and whatever way it works out, I'm sure.
Particular things I cannot answer here.
Yeah, without seeing horoscope, how you can answer properly?
Absolutely.
I know.
And so I think this has been a wonderful session. Jaya, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Aarti. Thank you for inviting me.
You are like a Pandora's box. Every time something new comes out of you, and you make me feel so humbled, that I am so happy to know a person like you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Aarti.
Yeah.
And I'm blessed to know you as well, all of you.
And now I request all of you, you know it, I'll open up the platform, Circle of Peaceful Progress. Please post your feedback and your comments. And what else would you like to see, even from Jaya? And we will bring her back. We are not going to leave her so easily. So thank you very much, Jaya.